Sally, talking on those experiences, of course, in the heat of the moment where the police were having that back and forth with the community members while the rocks were being thrown, there were tear gas dispersed, and it seems like this gentleman and his child, which were inside one of these houses, caught the brunt of that tear gas. I'm not sure what's happening with the child now, but it seems quite weak. Maybe, sir, tell us in your own words what happened.
So this guy say, well, police, tear gas. So I passed my sister America. I'm not a lot of passing my lap about Comara. What I don't check guess why post. I will demand cook. Demand to Zarina, so whenever like a mar, and already be sitting and I can get my munch.
What's happening to the child? Don't you want to take him to hospital? What's going on?
You don't know. We don't know what's happening about him because we don't have a car that we can take him to hospital. So those guys are police are Mozart was happening. The Mozart is doing his job. So I don't know how it affected him. We don't know.
The child looks quite weak, Sally. He still tries to open up his eyes time and again. But of course, this is the aftermath of that back and forth that you were seeing. We are told that there's a policeman who deliberately threw tear gas into their yard, while, of course, there was those rocks that are being thrown. They were home. They weren't a part of any of the chaos that we've seen today, nor the protests that we've seen. But the aftermath, Sally, is what we're seeing, these concerning scenes, which I'm quite worried about, and the well-being of this child.
Yeah, and you can hear the child seems to have quite laboured breathing, worrying if he has inhaled tear gas. And in fact, you brought us that shot live of the tear gas being deployed near those homes. Aviwe, I'm going to actually leave you to try and help that man and his family and perhaps direct them. It is very worrying. I'm actually just going to let you go. Teddy, you can just show us the scenes. But yeah, it's a bit worrying to see that this child may be in distress, Aviwe. So you continue. So look, we can see that night is falling now over Diepsloot. That little one hopefully is going to get some medical attention. It's very worrying indeed. Shahan, I believe that you are still with us. Just tell us a little bit more about exactly where you are in relation to the police station.
I'm literally one street away from the police station, and I can actually see police vehicle lights flashing down close to the police station. So it's probably about 500 meters or so. And if you have an understanding of Diepsloot, it's not a huge area. There's one main road, there are 3 streets going into Diepsloot, and you end up all basically at the same point at the end of these streets. And police, of course, Sally, don't have a huge area to maintain law and order in, which is why it's interesting that it's always so difficult for them to solve crimes in this area. And as I've said to you and you've said, it's an issue that the community has had for years. Murders are committed and arrests take forever to happen. Families say that there's no justice for their members being killed, and that's ultimately what they want. Let's remember that this is a right that every citizen has, a right to be protected, especially when it's so rife in one small area, which is Diepsloot. I know that you're asking about the police having comment on the force that was used earlier on with the stun grenades and somebody being injured, but I'm still waiting to hear back from Lorenzo Temba on that. And you know, she's just sent me a message saying that following the feedback meeting to the community of Diepsloot, Minister Tele and the South African Police Service's top management visited scenes of crime where several people were gunned down. Minister Tele also paid a comfort visit to the grieving families. And she says that we might have missed that because he went into the police station and then he went to actually talk to the families who have lost their loved ones due to crime in this area. But as soon as she actually is able to respond to the force that was used here, I'll bring you that update. For the benefit of those who are actually just joining us, though, the information is that the tactical response team of the South African Police Service, as well as Public Order Police and the National Intervention Unit of the SAPS, are all in Diepsloot tonight, right now, patrolling the area, talking to the commander at the police station and the investigating officers who are looking into these crimes and haven't made any headway. They're trying to actually come up with some sort of plan to deal with the issue of crime in this area, which is what led to residents actually taking to the streets. And the police minister is coming back here on Friday for an update on the situation to see if they've made any headway in terms of their investigations into the crimes in Diepsloot.
And of course, you know, when trying to understand why crime is so rampant in Diepsloot and what has happened, you know, one inevitably looks at the history and the location of this area. It was formed in 1995. It was a transit camp meant to be a sort of temporary spot for people who'd been moved from one area to another. Eventually, plots of land were given over. But, you know, just explain for our viewers who are not in Johannesburg that this is in the middle and very close to some extremely wealthy areas in Johannesburg, such as Fernstein City. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I was hoping to talk to you while we were driving here to show you those images, because literally 5 minutes or even 3 minutes outside of where we are, you have plush suburbs with high walls and security, and crime is not as rampant as it is here. And if we're able to see police officers like we see right now here every night patrolling the streets, maybe we'd actually make some headway in terms of deterring criminals. But the reality is this is happening right now because of the outrage from the community. We were talking about this before I even left the office. How long are they going to stay here for? And what impact is that going to make? Because we could be back here in a year or two talking about the same concerns. So deploying the tactical response team to Diepsloot tonight and over the next month or two does not mean that police are actually dealing with crime in this area long term. The inequalities is shocking. When you think about this, this area has been here for such a long time. It looks exactly the same to me. I've seen the same structures that I saw 3 and 4 years ago here. There's no growth, there's no development. And that ultimately talks to just how our government is addressing so many issues for our citizens, especially when it comes to human settlements. You know, we were talking about the number of ministries we have in this country, how big it is compared to the rest of the world, and how these ministries that have been set up are actually failing to address the concerns of a large part of this population. So the other question we must ask is about, you know, the poverty-stricken area itself. Where are the houses? Where's jobs so that people can actually get out of this area and start a better life for themselves? All of those questions need to be answered because crime is being committed, yes, in this area, but people would like to get out. And unfortunately, a number of them have not been able to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Shahan, thank you so much for that important context.